Welcome back, and in today's video we're going to be going over lust, and specifically what lust will do to you as a man, what pornography, what women do to you, and how it affects your self-development, and actually how to break that habit and break out of lust to become something better. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Brandon Snidak, and I'm the owner of Team Snidak Coaching. This is my personal fitness coaching business that focuses on self-development and personal development. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's get going. When it comes to lust, this is something I struggle with a lot because I was in a couple relationships for a very long period of time, and in between those relationships, I would find myself watching porn. I would find myself hooking up with random girls for no reason or without any intent, and it kind of led me down this downward path of depending on women and depending on like artificial women like pornography to fulfill myself. And this went on for a very long period of time because I didn't understand why I needed to stop. I didn't understand what it was doing to me, and the first thing I realized is that it's a loss of power, right? When you're doing this, when you're watching porn, when you're hooking up with all these girls, you're losing power. You're losing your sense of manhood whenever you give that to a random girl, or more importantly, you give that to a screen. So I want you to think about something, right? If you're somebody who watches porn, you're somebody who has been struggling to quit porn, struggling to get away from it, I want you to watch yourself in third person, right? You're literally sitting on in your fucking bed with your phone. I don't know where my phone is, but you're sitting there with your fucking phone, literally just jerking off in your fucking bed to some other dude getting buns. You know how embarrassing that is? You know how fucking stupid you look? Like, genuinely, if you were to look at yourself in third person and see what you were doing, you'd be fucking disgusted. You'd think you were a fucking weirdo. And that's the realization I came to. I was like, holy fuck. This shit is so gross. Like, this shit is so weird. And you need to look at it from that perspective and understand that it's genuinely embarrassing if you're doing that. And because you're doing that, right, you're losing your power as a man. The same thing with hooking up with girls. If you let girls control you, and if you let girls, like, if you consistently fall into having sex with many women, right, or like trying to get with women, liking all these girls' Instagram posts, if you fall into that cycle, you're losing your power because you're addicted to it. Lust isn't like a habit, it's an addiction, and it's a serious addiction. I see a lot of people, especially my old self, and in my personal life, I see people fall into this. And in order to break that, the first thing you have to understand is that it's a loss of power. You're losing your manliness because you're so dependent on a woman to fulfill you. You need that sexual validation to fulfill you, and because of that, you have no power, because when you don't have that, you don't feel normal, right? When you're not with a girl, you're not jerking off, you're not doing all this shit on a regular basis, you're going to feel like you have no power because you're so used to it. So you have to understand that whenever you do quit, it's going to feel like a loss of power because you have been very dependent on that woman. You've been very dependent on that key principle of having a woman in your life for a very long period of time, or having multiple girls, or having pornography in your life for a very long period of time. And that eliminates all of your power as a man. So in order to kindle that power and get it back, you have to disassociate from these things. You have to disassociate from porn, disassociate from all these women, because the only way to fix it is to eliminate it. And now, I'm not going to say this is an easy process because it's not. You're addicted to something, and addictions aren't easy to break. But it's the same thing with vaping, right? The more you vape, the more you become dependent on it. The more you become addicted to it, the more you need that fix. And when you quit, it's going to feel like shit for a minute. I quit vaping myself, so I understand this. It's going to feel like shit, and you're going to be like, holy shit, I really want to vape, I really want to vape. Same thing with porn, or same thing with like hookups, especially with porn though. You're just going to be like, wow, I really want to watch this, I really want to fall into this, I really want to do this. And then eventually, a couple weeks later, you're going to forget you even did that. It's all about getting past that initial part, because as you build past that part, you start to build back your power, and eventually you build back your manhood. So that is the first key principle, is taking back power, because you're losing your power to women, and you're losing your power to pornography because you fall into it, and you're so addicted to it that you can't stop, and you're so dependent on the actual videos and the actual women themselves. The next principle that is genuinely something that you have to understand is love loss, right? So whenever you're going down this cycle of just constantly falling into lust, right, you're losing the ability to love. I remember I got out of a 2-year relationship, and I was so hurt after this. I didn't talk to any girls for a couple months, and then I just started hooking up with girls left and right for a couple months, right? And whenever I was getting with these girls, I didn't feel anything for them. I didn't feel any type of love, any type of feelings. All I wanted to do was hook up with them, and that was it, because I had absolutely no reason to feel any love for them, because there was another girl like a week later, and I knew there was another girl that I was going to hang out with the next week. Like, I had all these girls lined up, and I was just falling into all these different women that I had no potential to even love them. And that's what you need to understand, is that whenever you do that, Whenever you're constantly hooking up with girls, or especially if you're just watching porn, you lose the ability to love. Your perception is skewed. With pornography, right? Your perception is this like theatrical animated version of sex. And that's not actually what it is. But when you're watching that continuously, your perspective shifts and you start to believe that that's what sex is supposed to be. That that's what encounters with females are supposed to be. And then when you actually have a time to like get with a girl, or you're actually trying to get with a girl, your dick's not even going to work. You're not even going to be able to get with that woman because your perception is so skewed and it's not what you're expecting. You're desensitizing yourself to the art of love and to the art of being with women because you're so dependent on a screen. You're so dependent on watching some other dude have sex that you are not able to even understand what it's like to really be with a woman. Now, on the other side of things, if you're just falling into hooking up with women consistently over and over again, every time that you hook up with one of those girls, every time that you are with a different woman, you lose a piece of yourself. You give a piece of yourself to that girl. And whenever you do that consistently again and again and again and again, you start to lose yourself so quickly. And eventually you lose the capability to love. And whenever you do love somebody, it won't feel the same because you've been so used to all these different women and you've given a piece of yourself to so many different women that you do not have the capability to love to your full potential. And you never will. And that's the hard truth. So the sooner you stop that habit, the sooner you regain the capability to love women. Regain the capability to find something real. Because right now, if you're falling into hookups constantly, you're not able to find something real. You will not find something real because you're so used to getting with different girls that you've lost so many pieces of yourself. You don't even know yourself anymore. All these girls only know bits and pieces about you, and you're not even going to be able to open up to somebody fully and give your all to somebody because you've given little pieces of yourself to everyone else. So how can you give your all to somebody when you don't even possess it anymore? When it's not yours anymore? When your all is no longer your all? When you fall into this, you lose yourself consistently. And that's the path I started to go down when I'd feel nothing for these girls, is I realized that I was losing myself consistently. I was losing who I was as a person because I was so dependent on these women. Because I was so dependent on having a girl there to hook up with the next weekend because that's what I wanted to do on the weekend. And the more that I did that, I realized that every single time I would care less about the girl. I would have no feelings. There would be no remorse if I broke her heart or whatever. There was no remorse there whatsoever because I could not feel love. I was not capable. So you might be going through a breakup or something like that. Lust is not the answer. Hookups are not the answer because all you're going to do is relinquish your capability to love even further, and it's going to take longer and longer to be able to actually connect with somebody and actually build that bond. Because the other thing is, there's some woman out there for you, right? There's an incredible, amazing woman who one day is going to be your wife, and you're going to be loyal to her and have an amazing family and whatever, yeah. But whenever you find that woman, it is your job to be the best possible man before you meet her, right? It is your job to be the most developed version of yourself whenever you meet her. Because if you have that girl that's destined to find you out there, if you have that girl that's destined for you, right? And you meet her and you're a piece of shit and you have 50 bodies, you've been with every girl in your state, what does that show to her? It shows that maybe you're not the right guy. It shows that maybe you're not who you're supposed to be. It shows that you don't care enough about finding something real, and therefore why should she care about you? So you lose your potential more and more and more to find that woman because you have fallen into lust so long. You have fallen into so many other women that you're not even deserving of that girl. You're not deserving of having somebody that's such an amazing person that you're destined for because you have not lived to your full capability and she has. Your future wife, I promise you, if you're a high value man and you're turning away from lust, your future wife will not be some girl who's hooking up with every guy at the bar every weekend. Your future wife will not be some girl who's getting blacked out drunk 5 times a week and fucking some random dude. That's not your future wife. So if you don't want your future wife to be that, then you need to not be like that, right? Because it goes both ways. You can't expect to be this piece of shit douchebag who's fucking a different girl every single weekend and expect to find a high value woman who hasn't been with anyone and has been waiting for you her whole life. It doesn't work like that. You get what you give and you find what you are. So if you want to find a good woman, you want to find a woman who actually cares for you and actually lives a good life and actually has goals and ambitions and all these things, then you must have them first. And the way that you find those goals and ambitions, the way that you become that man, is by chasing something further with the knowledge that she will eventually come into your life. But if you chase temporary fun consistently and you chase all these different girls consistently, you're never going to find that, right? You're never going to find that real connection because you have chased all these artificial things And instead of chasing something real, and instead of chasing your best self, you've chased girls. The main problem I see is that a lot of people don't chase their best self. They just chase girls because they built some type of confidence and they feel like now they're worthy to hook up with girls because maybe they were a little skinnier before, maybe they look a little better than they did. So that's their excuse to hook up with a lot of girls. And while that might sound fun on paper, what you don't realize is that by you doing that, you relinquish the possibility of developing yourself any further. So then you can't develop yourself anymore. You can't become that best version of yourself because you've given away pieces of yourself to so many girls and because you don't even have time to self-develop. You didn't have time to focus on who you are as a person and how you could become a better version of yourself. So with lust specifically, with hookups, with pornography, with all of these topics we've been going over, what I need you to understand is that by you eliminating those, it opens up all these new avenues for your capability to become a better man. And as you become that better man, the probability of you finding an actual high-value woman, a woman who will actually care for you and actually lives a good life with goals and ambitions, becomes exponentially higher. Because she is also looking for what she is, right? She's looking for somebody who matches her personality and matches her goals and ambitions. So when you become that man with ambitions, you become that man who has focused on himself and has tried to better himself as opposed to hooking up with meaningless girls, you're deserving of that now. But you weren't deserving of that before when you were a shitbag watching porn every single day and whenever you were hooking up with every girl on the street. You get what you are and you find what you are. So before you start looking for your next hookup, before you think about going on Safari to watch some more porn, I want you to understand that if you deep down want to find a meaningful connection with a woman and deep down you want to find some type of love, you have to cut that out because you're going to get the love that you deserve. You're going to get the woman that you deserve. And if you live your life like a piece of shit, you live your life hooking up with all of these different girls and having no goals and ambitions, you're never going to find that good girl. You're going to find a girl just like you, and you're not going to be happy about it, but at the end of the day, that's what you deserve. You deserve who you are, so become that man because you still have all the capabilities to do that and turn away from the life you're living now to develop yourself and then find something real. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I really appreciate you all tuning in. If you have not yet, or if you're still interested, I do have a couple spots open for this month of September. The link is down in my bio if you want to book in there. It's just the first link. You can book a call with me to go over your goals, your struggles, and whatnot. But yeah, that's going to be all. I really appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.